Simon, Marcus Rashford had to take to Twitter at the weekend, and he did it really to defend himself. Very keen. And I know, Simon, and I'm not getting at you here, but you do often take a swipe at the media. But I think here certainly seems to be justification if you choose to do so. There's a story at the weekend. I don't know if you saw it, Danny, and it appeared in the Mail. I'm correct, the Daily Mail, yeah. What a result. Campaigning football star Marcus Rashford has bought 5 luxury homes worth more than £2 million. And Danny, this goes on to tell us that he's ploughed an estimated £1.5 million into 3 houses in Cheshire. He has mortgages from the Queen's Bank, Coutts & Co. for all 5 of the property. It goes into a variety of detail on this. This was the Mail on Sunday revealing this. Marcus Rashford then took to Twitter and said, OK, so let's address this. I'm 23. I came from little. I need to protect not just my future, but my family's too. To do that, I made a decision at the beginning of 2020 to start investing more in property. Please don't run stories like this alongside refs campaigning to fight child food. And of course, this comes off the back of him fighting child food poverty. Danny, what is your take on this? Do you feel that Marcus did the right thing, going on Twitter and defending himself here and saying, hang on, you can't talk about me in one hand, then talk about me in another like this?
I wouldn't have, but I understand why he has. Everyone's different. I wouldn't have given it credibility. I think it's awful reporting. I don't think it's relevant what footballers invest their money in unless it's illegal.
Yeah.
It's sensible. Why there's a need to investigate Marcus Rashford's mortgages or investment choices, I don't know. Probably trying to... Is this what we do? I mean, is it because he's doing so much good they'll try and find some bad? And actually, what's the story? I don't understand. He's being sensible and investing his money for the future. Well played.
Yes, exactly.
So another pat on the back to him. Well done.
I mean, I think the
ludicrous headline.
Yeah, I think the point is here, Simon, is what is the point? Mm-hmm. I mean, Gary Lineker was saying, well, here they go. And of course, this is him talking about these members of the media. This is how they start, he says, subtle to begin with, but it will grow. It's what they do.
Sure.
And then a former apprentice star.
He's in my camp then, is he?
Ryan Mark Parsons was giving what a ludicrous headline from these two in the Mail on Sunday. I see a young man awarded an MBE for his heroism, making wise property investments with money he's earned legally. What possibly could be the matter here?
I honestly don't know. It feels like the journalism of envy. I don't really understand what the point of it is. You know, everybody knows, insofar as they care, that footballers get paid a lot of money. Would the story, you know, the fact he wants to invest in buying property is just common sense. What relevance has it got to do? It's crappy, lazy, horrid takedown journalism, because it is trying to take Marcus Rashford. It's trying to compare and contrast between the campaigns that he stands behind, which is food and poverty in this country, whilst having, you know, an expansive property portfolio. So what? So what?
What's he supposed to do? Plough every penny he earns into
it's just poor. Again, I say it can only be the journalism of envy. You know, we talk about the politics of envy. We can have the journalism of envy now, because there is just no notion. And what it will do is it will steer into narratives that may well be that part of the thinking. I hope it isn't. It may steer into narratives about how young black athletes are represented, and that will come up in people's minds. They'll say, "Why was Marcus Rashford being singled out for this?" It's ugly. It's unnecessary. This young man has gone out and done something, used his name, indexed it to a cause, and done something very commendable. What he does with his money is nobody else's business. And to go into the research to find out where the charge is, i.e. which bank have lent him the money to buy these properties, is just ridiculous. And I don't know why a newspaper like the Mail would want to carry something like this. It does them a discredit. The journalists are imbeciles. And the story itself is low grade, low brow, low intellect, journalism of envy. I just think it's poor, really poor. And
journalism of envy.
When I talk about my goes at the media, I talk about segments of the media and the way people represent themselves, not the media per se, because the media at times can do lots of good things.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, society, Simon, as you know, is all about the haves and the have-nots. So here in this article, we're told that the houses that he's bought in Wilmslow are in a development where properties are marketed for a minimum of £500,000. And his 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Macclesfield is believed to have cost about 325 grand. Has a smart kitchen, dining area, 2 bathrooms, large garden, and billed by estate agents as stylish and contemporary.
Yep.
On a new sought-after development.
It was the same. Do you know what?
Are they trying to tell us here, though, Danny, that the have-nots are the people that he's campaigned for, but the haves, Marcus Rashford definitely falls into that category.
It's everything Simon said it is. I mean, I remember years ago when Michael Owen bought a few houses in a cul-de-sac for his family, his brothers, his sisters, and his mum and dad. You know, and that was sensationalised, and he was doing something nice. I would understand it more if there's. I remember I've been on the front pages for a bit accused of being tax avoider when all the film scheme stuff kicked off and all that. It's horrible, but at least there was some. I mean, I wasn't a tax avoider, by the way, but that the substance of the story, they were fishing for something that had done wrong. You know, here he's investing in his family's future.
It's nobody else's business. I mean,
it's nobody's business.
But we can also sit here and what is the angle here? They were writing
that's the thing.
What's the angle here? Is the angle here that Wilfried Zaha had a portfolio of property that he let people stay in during lockdown, and the homeless stay in it, and National Health Service people staying in his properties? Is there some sort of virtue signal going on in this article that he should be doing something with his properties that they think? I really look at this and just think to myself, what a waste of time and effort and industry. If it is a takedown, what an unsightly, unedifying, ghastly pair of journalists these two are.
Why is it still accepted, Simon? That's the thing.
Well,
why? How does it come to be in the public domain?
With the best will in the world, it's difficult to ask because we're reading it out on radio. So
but we're doing that for a reason.
I wouldn't give it the airtime.
We're doing that for a reason because I agree with you. It's journalism of envy, and that's why we're doing it.
Because there's an audience for it. It would seem.
Well, do you think? Is it? I mean, I haven't read the whole thing. Are we talking about a narrative that? How can he be spending millions of pounds on property and then asking for people to give money to food banks, etc., and the government when he's spending? Is that the narrative?
You're getting there with that, I would say. I mean, when you see the intro, it tells us campaigning football star Marcus Rashford has bought 5 luxury homes.
It's a contradiction.
Worth at least $2 million. Well, he campaigns for those who need him to campaign and who benefit from the campaign that he goes about. But at the same time, he still has a wherewithal to do this.
He campaigns and lobbies the government to rethink their policies whilst paying 40% tax. I know there's arguments that he has. It started a while ago, didn't it, about how his pay is paid to him through companies that he then takes back and pays less capital gains. There was an allegation in the press recently. Look, tax efficiency and the way that the tax system works is one thing. That's just the system that people deploy. And he's in a position where he's a high earner. He will be paying high levels of tax. And if he can find a way to mitigate some of that, most people will do it, irrespective of the clamourings from the social classes that say, well, I wouldn't do it. Put yourself in that position, you may just.
Yeah.
In this instance, it is probably that. It's probably suggesting that on one hand, you're making all this money and earning all this money and having all these assets whilst going around campaigning. Well, I just don't see what the relevance of it is. I just don't see what the point of it is. Why would you want to take Marcus Rashford down on any level? Why wouldn't you just be turning around and saying, wonderful, well done, you're a high taxpayer, and by the way, look what you do with your spare time, rather than talking about how they go down the betting shop, and rather than talking about people spending their time gaming on gaming machines. Here's a kid that plays for England and goes and spends his time dealing with campaigns for the less fortunate. What a mean-spirited set of journalism.
I have to say, I mean, they kept the best to last. The final paragraph today, they're talking about Wimslow, of course, that part of the world where the properties are. The town was also the birthplace of the pioneering computer scientist and second World War codebreaker, Alan Turing. Whew, now that I know that, I'll sleep well tonight.